As the days get shorter and darkness increases, so does the bitter cold. And there's no place I'd rather experience it than at a survival shelter in the woods. Hidden away in the north woods of Wisconsin is one of the nicest backcountry shelters I've ever discovered. So join us for a day and night here as we face temperatures well below freezing. This is Tiny Cabin Life. We're in the Lincoln County Forest in north central Wisconsin, heading out on one of my favorite types of adventures. We're on the Ice Age Trail, which is a long-distance hiking trail here in the state that covers around 700 miles. The section we're hiking today has a lot of ups and downs to it, and I'm bringing in some extra gear because tonight is going to get very, very cold. Well, we are back out on trail, heading to do something that we haven't done in probably a year. We're going to be staying at a little survival shelter on a lake, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. Now, don't let the t-shirt right now fool you. It is very, very chilly. We're in the 40s, and it's going to drop down to the low 20s overnight. I just have my coat off while I'm hiking because I get hot very, very quickly, especially pulling this cart. Whoa! There is a snake right at my feet. So this right here is your standard garter snake. They're not harmful or venomous at all. It seems like he's in some sort of like almost a tranquilized state, probably due to the cold weather. He's probably getting ready to hibernate. Very, very cool. Hauling all this gear in turned out to be much more of a chore than I was expecting. However, I do think it's going to be worth it when the temperature drastically drops later on tonight. Man, this is a nice shelter. I want to say easily the nicest one we've ever stayed in. It looks to be fairly new, and you can see that there is just so much here for visitors. I love that it has this big bench here. I definitely think I'm going to try to sleep up here. I've also never seen one that has a table like this inside. We'll certainly prepare our meals and hang out around this thing. The camp outside is fantastic as well. You've got a nice fire ring, which is surrounded by a handful of chairs and benches, which clearly took some time to construct. The shelter overlooks the lake, and you can see that there's even a bench down on the shoreline. So all in all, I think this is going to be an awesome spot to spend a day and night. This is your quintessential Northwoods lake. I just love seeing the pine trees surrounding it. You've got the wetlands on the shoreline, and of course lily pads in the water. It's so gorgeous, it's so peaceful, and I cannot wait to spend some time sitting on that bench, taking it all in later on today. Now, the first thing I want to do here is make sure that we have some drinking water. So I'm going to head back down to the lake to fill up our water filter. Just tons of gunk and sediment in this water. It's going to be safe to drink. It's just it really wears down your filter fast. I'm trying to just grab the water that's sitting on top. So if you take a look here, my filter is running very, very slow, which is due to sediment being in there. It's definitely a bummer because it's just going to take very, very long to filter water. I really got to clean this thing out after this trip. Dear God, thank you for this opportunity to be out in the woods. Help us to stay warm, be safe, and have a good time tonight. Amen. Just a little bit of soup for lunch here. We got some beef, pot roast, and potato. There's also a few veggies in there. It's very, very simple, of course, but it's going to hit the spot. Delicious as always.
Now that we're hydrated and fueled up, it's finally time to set up our gear inside the cabin.
So what I want to do now is see if I can't get this tarp to cover the entire front of the shelter. If I can, then our heater is really going to do a great job of heating this space later on. This is what I like to call my mouse barrier. I like to set this thing up whenever I'm in places where there are going to be mice running around. Believe it or not, this little screened in pod here gives me so much peace of mind when I sleep. Yes, I know mice could chew through it, but if there's not food in there, they're not gonna, and it just helps me get a better sleep knowing that they're not crawling all over me.
Now with the interior all set up, it's time to finish up outside. As I mentioned before, I hauled in a propane heater with a massive tank that will last us for hours upon hours. And the last couple pieces of gear are our outside lanterns, which just helps illuminate the outside of the cabin and provides a nice, peaceful ambiance.
Well, now that we're all set up, it's probably time to go gather some firewood because, believe it or not, the sun is already starting to set. It's going to be dark here in a couple hours, and I definitely want to spend some time not only down here at the lake for sunset, but I also want to have a fire out front before it gets too dark. We're going to just walk the trail here on the opposite side of the shelter and see if we can't find any downed wood. Pine's great because it's very resiny. It gets going very quickly. And so if we can find some old pine, that would be perfect. Ooh, this looks good right here. Looks old, which means it's probably dry. And because it's up off the ground like this, there's a good chance that it's still dry. Nice little bit of wood here. It'll definitely last us a little while on that fire. You really want to look away while you're doing this because sometimes when you stomp on these, they can fly up in your face. So it's good to be careful, that's for sure. This is the only piece that I dare not split. It's just too thick and I'll probably get hurt. But we'll keep it in case we can toss it in when the fire's really hot. All right, let's go get one more load like that and we should be set for a campfire. Oh, wow. This is a nice little stash. I'm gonna see if I can't pick off one of the smaller ones here and get it out of this mess of downed trees. Well, that should definitely be enough for a campfire. You know, we're not using this to cook or to stay warm tonight. We've got a heater for that, so it's really just going to be for our enjoyment, and so I feel good about the pile of wood we've got there. This is a pretty incredible lake. I just love how it's sunken in amongst the hills here. It really feels like you're almost at an alpine lake way out in the mountains somewhere. It's a pretty cool feeling. Now, before we make a campfire for the night, I need to reach out to my wife, Riley, and introduce you to this week's video sponsor, Bluetti. This right here is the Bluetti Pioneer NA, a power station engineered for cold weather. As many of you are aware, my wife, Riley, is very, very pregnant right now, and it's absolutely critical that I'm able to stay in touch with her. And so I had to bring my satellite internet out here, but the problem is that the temperatures are just so cold out here that it's very difficult to power this thing. So thanks to this power station right here, that is not the case today. This power station is absolutely incredible. As I mentioned before, it is engineered for cold weather and can discharge at negative 13 degrees Fahrenheit. That's absolutely incredible, you guys, and a game changer for winter camping here in Minnesota. Now, it is well below freezing. We're at about 22 degrees Fahrenheit right now, but soon here in Minnesota, it's gonna be well below zero, and that's when this thing will be very, very crucial. And this thing can charge in cold weather as well. It's a little higher than negative 13. We're talking 5 degrees Fahrenheit, but that is still incredibly impressive. With 1900 watts of dual charging, that's using AC and solar, the Pioneer NA will go from 0 to 80% in just 35 minutes. It's got a 900 watt hour capacity with 1500 watt output, with loads up to 2250 watts. And weighing just 35 pounds, it's very compact and portable as well. Okay, so we are all fired up here, and it looks like we're online. Now I can check in on the family. Yeah, it is very, very cold, but I have the heater and the shelter is really, really nice. Of course, on top of the satellite internet, I'm using this power station to charge my camera equipment, my phone, and also my lights as well. I love you too. Okay, bye. So all in all, I'm very impressed with this power station. It's going to be a game changer here in the winter time. Not only for the hardcore adventures like this one, but also powering my snowmobile cabin and even our micro cabin as well. And so if you're interested in checking out the Bluetti Pioneer NA, all you have to do is follow the link in the description of this video. And with that, I want to thank Bluetti for sponsoring. fire sure feels good. Man, as soon as that sun went down, it got cold very, very quickly. It's supposed to be a clear night tonight, which is going to add to the lower temperatures. A lot of times the clouds will actually act as a little bit of insulation. But tonight it's going to be clear, and it's supposed to drop down to about 22 degrees Fahrenheit. That's cold. Easily the coldest temperature of the season thus far. But, you know, that's why I hauled that heater and propane all the way through the woods. We've got everything we need.
Now that we're in the cabin for the night, it's time to whip up some dinner.
Dear God, thank you for just a great day. Help us to stay safe and warm overnight, and bless this food. Amen. So I've got a little pasta here, very simple meal for the backcountry. However, I also added some summer sausage, which is going to make it heartier and more delicious as well. So incredibly good, and I gotta say, that summer sausage is an old trick of mine. It adds so much to this. While as peaceful as it is in here, it's also getting really, really chilly. As you can see right now, it's 36 degrees Fahrenheit, but in a few hours, we're going to get down to 23. He was saying 22 earlier. It's going to be very, very cold. The heater feels great. Sitting right next to it like this, I feel perfectly warm. However, it's not quite heating up the space like I was hoping it would. As you can see, there are some gaps on the sides of the tarp, and that's letting in just tons of cool air. Also, this is a fairly large space for this little heater. So, you know, it's not the warm, toasty cabin that I was hoping for. But, man, I'm still so glad that I have it, and I know I really will be in the morning too. Well, it's about time to hit the hay. My sleeping bag is toasty warm right now, and I love this little screen shelter. Ellie is on her nice insulated sleeping pad, and she's got a warm down blanket, so she should be good to go too. I'll see you guys bright and early in the morning. It's going to be a cold one. Good night.
Well, good morning, everybody. It is beautiful out there, but man, is it cold. As you can see, we did get down to 22. Might have even gotten colder, but that's just what it's showing right now. It definitely feels much colder than that, but thankfully with the heater over here, we're getting some relief. Well, it's been a beautiful morning. It's starting to warm up a little bit too. I want to say we're probably nearing the mid-20s now, and it's actually going to keep going up fairly quickly. So by the time we get out of here, it'll probably be 30 degrees or maybe even a little more. But unfortunately with that, I think it's about time we start packing out of here. I really love these little lanterns. They're completely water resistant, so you could leave them out in the rain, and not only do they provide just some needed light when I'm out doing stuff like this, but they really add to that ambiance as well. They're really cool. Packing a backpack is a skill that takes time to refine, and you know, there's more to it than just packing as much stuff in there as you can. You really want to try to balance out the weight so that it sits well on your back. Otherwise you're gonna have back issues, and trust me, I've learned that the hard way. Typically you wanna put your heavier items lower in your pack. That's gonna keep the weight resting on your hips instead of pulling you backwards if you have it too high up. And for me, that's all of my camera gear and batteries. So that's gonna go in right at the bottom. All right, we're all packed up and loaded out. It's time to hit the trail. Goodbye, home.
Well, we successfully made it back to the truck, and with that, this chapter of the adventure comes to an end. I always love spending time in these types of shelters because they truly force you to be present in the moment. We're much more exposed than we are in one of our normal cabins or campers, and it definitely puts me out of my comfort zone a little bit. But I truly believe that stepping out of our comfort zone willingly allows us to grow and in turn have experiences that we never imagined would be possible.
I want to give a special shout out to our patrons who generously donate to this channel. Thank you as always. But again, to all of you who watch, comment, subscribe, you're all the reason that we get to come out on these adventures on a weekly basis and share it with you all. And I'm so incredibly grateful for that. As you can see, I've got the micro cabin towing behind the truck, and that's because we're headed to one more location here in Wisconsin. And they're saying snow might be in the forecast, so make sure you come back next week for that episode. It's going to be a good one. But until then, I got to load up all this gear so we can hit the road. We'll see you next week. God bless.